Good morning. It's Monday? Yeah, it's Monday. I'm a little lost. I'm a creature of habit. So, not being out of my normal environment not going to work this morning is throwing me off. But it's fine. I'm on vacation with the parents. Everything's good. Everything's fine. But this morning I want to talk about eminent domain. Eminent domain is something that's terrible and yet necessary. Welcome to the country. Oh boy. See, this is why I would never, ever, ever have my dog off leash. But, not my dog. And, what are you going to do? I am a guest in my sister's house and her dog. Anyway. So, eminent domain is where the government can take your property under certain limited circumstances and in certain limited ways. The courts have basically held it. The government can take your property using eminent domain if it's being used for basically for the people. So the government can't use eminent domain to take your property to, for example, I don't know, build a private hotel. You know, they can't take your property under eminent domain to then sell your property to they got along. They must know each other or something. He's more worried about me. Are you more worried about me, big boy? You more worried about me, huh? Huh? You're a big boy. You're a big boy. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You gonna woof? Are you gonna woof, big boy? Huh? So they can take your property. And I don't have my books in front of me or the internet in front of me, but it's essentially they do a test to see if it's going to benefit the public and not a private individual. So they can't take your property just to sell it to a developer to turn it into a hotel, but they can take your property to turn it into a sports stadium that's owned by the city. They can take your property to acquire the area around the sports facility to turn it into a shopping area to support the sports arena. As long as they've done their various steps to show that it's for the community and it's going to, you know, aid the city, then they can do it. And it's terrible for the individual. However, I'm sure you've seen images from places like China and other things like that where there is a house in the middle of a construction site with a 30-foot deep pit dug all the way around it because the homeowner has been unwilling to sell for a construction project. Now, in the U.S., that really wouldn't happen because you have the right to your easements, your traditional ingress and egress easements, and you have the right to collateral support. So if your neighbor digs out property and your property slides into it, then generally speaking, I mean, they have a test for that too. You know, is it the weight of your house that caused your land to slide, or is it just would the land have slid but for the weight of your house or something like that? Anyway, so there are processes in place and there are methods and tests in place that determine when and how the government can take your land. Another The other important feature is the government doesn't just take your land. They pay you fair market value for the land. You may not want to sell. He's huffing and chuffing up this way. You may not want to sell, but you don't get a choice in the matter. The government is going to get your land, and you get fair market value for it. And that's it. The long and the short of it. And now you always hear about the cases where, you know, it's just so terrible that you know, 90-year-old grandma had to lose her home. They don't always tell you about how much she got paid for it or anything like that. But she had to lose her home for something that is just tangentially kind of related to the common good, the public good. But in most eminent domain cases, it's to build things like off-ramps or to widen freeways. Eminent domain is used quite a bit in taking like a strip of land along the edge of someone's property so that the government can widen a road. That's a common use of eminent domain. And there's not a whole lot of ways to stop eminent domain, as long as the government can show that whatever test that is that shows that it's being done for the common good. Really, if the government can prove that, then all you can do is sue over the value of the property. You can say the government's undervaluing it, but that's about it. And might not always be worth it unless you have a really big plot of property and you really think the government's way undervaluing it. So no, it's not a perfect system, but it is the system we have. And I would invite everybody who wants to get all butthurt and oh boo-hoo over it, that I would like to ask them to provide a better alternative. A better alternative that's going to meet the various issues that the government faces in acquiring the land. Some people aren't going to sell. Doesn't matter how much you offer them, they're not going to sell. And if people realize that you can just hold out for a better price, the next thing you know, the government's going to be spending $1 billion on a plot of land that's worth maybe $100,000, and people are going to be crying about government waste. So my advice to the people who are crying about eminent domain, James, you know who you are, is to come up with a better alternative system for it. If you can come up with a better alternative system for eminent domain, then by all means do so. Put it out there. I don't think that the government is particularly tied to the notion of eminent domain in as much as it doesn't have a better alternative. It is restricted by the takings clause. They do have to have a hearing before they take anything from you. So that's or they have to have due process before they take anything from you. And they have to compensate you for it. But other than that, there aren't any real constitutional questions either way. And before you go into the... Oh, we got a car coming, buddy. We got a car coming. Do you know how to deal with cars? Well, we'll find out if he does. Find out if he does. Doesn't look like it. Or maybe he does. And another car's coming. It's amazing you've lasted as long as you have. I think my sister rescued him when he was 6 or 7 years ago. 8 years ago? It's been a while. I think she got him like 2009. Oh, maybe 8 years ago, 2010, somewhere in there. Anyway, that's all I really got, other than it's muggy on the East Coast. It's very muggy, and things that we would call country roads get quite a bit of travel. Like this road right here gets quite a bit of travel. So I don't walk on it. I don't walk on it. Anyway, all right, come on, we'll go back this way now. Pretty area out here though. It's green. Not used to this much green in California, especially not at this time of year. This time of year, everything is just super brown. Hey, come on. I think he wants to get in their truck or something. Again, not my dog. Yesterday, my parents took me out to fine Mexican dining. You may call me an elitist snob, but there is no such thing as fine Mexican dining to me. There's fine Spanish dining, sure. But fine Mexican dining? Now don't get me wrong, I love Mexican food. Love it. My favorite Mexican food, there's two places that are my favorite Mexican foods. Number one, the taco trucks. I don't know what they do, but in California, taco trucks with a bunch of Mexicans gathered out in front of it selling tacos and burritos. You know you're gonna get some damn good food. Con queso y crema. The other place that my wife and I go to, it's a chain, I believe, but we like the one in downtown Sacramento. It's La Familia. And there's always a bunch of Mexicans in it, and they make really good food too. Not as good as the taco trucks. I think a lot of it comes from it being cuisine designed around being poor. So you look at a lot of the cuts like La Lengua and cabeza. It's not the good cuts of meat, and the carne asada isn't a good cut of steak, and well, pork's always good, but you know, it's not an expensive cut of pork that they use to make carnitas with. So, and you know, the spice and everything like that, from my understanding, not being a historical expert, but the spice is designed to kind of cover the flavors of meat that might be starting to go bad. But at the end of the day, you get, you know, good cheap food that's nutritious and yummy. You know, people are ingenious and they make do with what they got. So it's different than than like what I consider fine dining, where ingredients are used that common folk just wouldn't have had access to, and techniques that common folks just don't have access to. So I would never go to a fine Mexican dining establishment myself, especially not this far away from Mexico. And there you go. So OG2 has changed his name. I'm still going to call him OG2, because FAOO just doesn't roll off the tongue nearly as well as OG2. That guy surprised the daylights out of me. It's there's sleepers. There's sleepers out there. They're people you don't expect. He does not dress or act as intelligent as he is. He looks like the kind of guy who would spend all of his income on gas station pizza. The backwards hat, the mannerisms, the non-stop smoking. He's got a brain. He's got a brain under that backwards ball cap. Surprisingly enough. It's an interesting thing for everybody who's saying that I'm not having an effect on the community. There you go. I'm not claiming credit for it, but bet you a shiny brand new American nickel that I had an influence on it. So I take pride in that. Not, you know, he's the son I never wanted or anything like that. Not like that, but everybody who likes to come into my comments and say that, you know, oh, you only have 1,000 subs or however many I have, I don't know. But you only have X number of subs. You're not having an effect in the community. No, really? My name can't seem to escape certain people's lips. So I would call that having an effect. I don't know about you, but that seems like I'm having an effect. I don't buy subs, so we know that at least my subs are real. I also don't buy views, so we know my views are real. How do we know? How do we know you don't buy subs? Well, because what point is there in me to buy subs? I don't have any need to buy subs. I don't get into the sub measuring contest. I know people like to, but the number of subs you have are meaningless. People have accused Fat Parasite and News Now Rapist of buying subs, and they have shown me websites you can go to buy subs, and you can go there to buy views, and it makes sense. It makes sense, especially considering that, like News Now Rapist, he churns out very little content. A lot of his content is mirrored, or he's not very active right now. I think he's a little butthurt about getting caught being a liar and a fraud. But he's not very active right now. And he's still getting 300-ish subs a day, like clockwork. Like clockwork. Go to Social Blade, it's like clockwork. It's pretty interesting, or at least the last time I looked at it, it was like clockwork. Who knows if he's still doing it. But yeah, very, very surprised with OG2. I didn't think he was going to be the one to come around, honestly. Or maybe other people did, and he's just doing a lot more noisy than other people. Hopefully he's given up this business of just trying to expose people with criminal records just because they have criminal records. I don't think that's going to endear him to anybody's hearts. And I still haven't heard a good reason why people with criminal records don't have First Amendment rights. However, liars need to be called out. And I maintain that. If they'll lie to you about the little things, they'll lie to you about the big things. And if they're lying to you in ways that are going to potentially get you into trouble, like Damon Thief Jones telling you you don't need license plates and licenses and insurance and registration, when he has license plate, a license, insurance, and registration, he's going to get people into trouble. People who are dumb enough to listen to that man are going to get in trouble if they follow his advice. They're going to think, well, he was the chief of police for 40 years. But he wasn't. But he wasn't. That man has a penchant for lying. If he opens his mouth, he's lying. Or he's trying to sell you something. Anyway, I guess I'm about done. I have rambled enough. It's muggy, it's nasty. Oh, still got a dog following me, so that's good. was wondering if maybe I lost him, but I didn't. He knows his way home either way. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry my rambling while amblins aren't very detailed and coherent. I haven't really had a chance to watch a whole lot of content or research a whole lot of things, what with family and all. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.